Hey folks, how you doing? My name's Dave McRae. Ah yes, the age-old debate. PG-13 horror or rated R horror? I mean, it has to be rated R. It can't possibly be PG-13. I mean, PG-13 horror? What is that garbage? Now, obviously, it depends on the subgenre. If you're going to watch a slasher horror movie, well, yeah, it kind of is in the title, and it's implied that, there's gonna be a lot of blood. And don't get me wrong, I really enjoy a great rated R horror movie. But I think PG-13 horror often gets an unfair reputation for being watered down or not scary enough. Horror fans sometimes equate the R rating with quality, assuming more blood or gore or profanity automatically makes a film scarier. But this simply isn't true. What makes a horror film effective isn't its rating. It's its mood and atmosphere, tension, story, and how it plays on fear. And in some ways, PG-13 horror can be even more effective than its rated R counterparts. First, it's important to understand what earns an R rating. It's typically excessive violence or gore, or strong language, nudity, or disturbing content. While those elements can enhance a horror film, they're not essential for building dread or telling a compelling story. Some of the most unsettling horror moments come from what's not seen. The theater of the mind, as I always like to say. From the unknown, the implied, and the imagined. PG-13 horror is often forced to rely more heavily on storytelling, suspense, and suggestion. More of that theater of the mind. These are key elements of great horror. Filmmakers must find creative ways to evoke fear without showing everything. And that restraint can actually heighten tension. The threat lingers just out of sight, and that uncertainty becomes its own form of terror. There are several standout examples that prove PG-13 horror can deliver. Films like The Ring from 2002, one of my favorites of all time. The atmosphere, the mood, the tension. It's got one of the great jump scares of all time. A Quiet Place from 2018, one of my favorite horror movies of the last 20 years. Insidious from 2010, and one of my favorites of all time, The Others from 2001. And even 1408 with John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson from 2007. Even The Sixth Sense from 1999 was a PG-13 horror movie. And all these films are not only critically acclaimed, but they're considered largely to be modern classics of the genre. These films build dread through sound design, lighting, and that psychological theater of the mind without relying on buckets and boatloads of gore, blood, profanity, or nudity. Listen, at its core, horror is about fear. And fear is universal. It doesn't need to be graphic to be effective. Dismissing PG-13 horror simply because of its rating overlooks the craftsmanship and creativity involved in making an audience feel that fear and tension with the tighter restrictions on the rating. And like I always say on this channel, sometimes what you don't see is far scarier than what you do. My name's Dave McRae. Cheers.